Okay, welcome back, everyone. Okay, welcome back. Okay, I'd like to ask a couple of people. And the first person is Sister Bovenda. Would you like to share your gratitude? Sister Bovenda?
Yes, good morning. I was simply saying that glory to God that every morning to have myself and be here, and I'm glad, despite of what, that God always never change His love from the beginning. It doesn't matter who we are, and I'm grateful. So that's a simple to thank God and show the gratitude and the thanks for God's love. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next person, can I ask Sumiko-san?
Okay.
Gratitude.
Okay. Hi. Good morning, brothers and sisters. So my gratitude is we are trying to go out to witnessing to campus at the Gunet Tech with Ozama-san and also Kawaguchi-san myself. So yesterday also I went over there, and then I met one such a wonderful person. His name is Brian. Interesting enough that he's a Japanese American. I thought he's Spanish descendant, but actually his mom is a Japanese, the father is American. So we had some common base, and then he was so we talk about 2 hours, me and like asking how his background, and he was saying that he's living with a grandfather, and then his grandma passed away, so he's kind of helping grandpa, and then living together. And then he was a not a religious person, but he's interesting why we are so selfish, and then he want to make a better world. So anyway, so we read the introduction, and then we went to the DP, the black book, and then we finished about 25 minutes. And then next week, I made an appointment that I'm going to study the principle of creation. So he has time on Tuesdays. I was so grateful someone has time, because most students, they say busy, busy, busy. But he has a kind of half day, all day, afternoon. So yeah, I was so grateful that I met a person that I felt God is really listening our prayer. So yeah, I was grateful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for pioneering campus witnessing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, next I'd like to go for the reading of Mother's memoir. See, I'd like to ask Sister Catherine or Brother Ted. That's okay. I'm going to. So we are page 115, or if you have an older book, it's going to be 103. Okay, so Sister Catherine, are you available? Or Brother Ted, Sister Catherine, please unmute. Okay. Looks like they are not available. Okay, this is here, this is here. Then I go for Carmen, are you able to read?
I mean, it's a good reader.
You want me to read?
Yeah, not too fast, okay?
Oh, okay. 115, as we enter the era, that one?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
please, are you able to
Okay, I got it.
see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
As we entered the 1970s, it still was a turbulent time for the world. North and South Korean discord threatened to flare up into another war, and the international situation was volatile. Communism was expanding across the globe on many fronts. Knowing the inhumane brutality of communist governments from our personal experience, my husband and I launched a very successful educational initiative called Victory Over Communism, VOC. Ours was the only voice in the world to clearly explain the fallacies of its materialistic and atheistic theology while offering a God-centered counter-proposal. VOC strengthened the resolve and understanding of South Koreans, and it had a huge impact soon after in Japan, turning back its far left-wing factions to peaceful means. At a critical moment, my husband and I once again urged our members, especially the women, to take action. Our Heavenly Parent knows the power of women. Our movement did not truly begin until our couple's holy wedding, because we are a family movement, and it takes a husband and wife to create a family. My husband is the world's foremost champion of women as the moral leaders of the family and society. With this conviction, we called Korean blessed wives to sacrifice their family life for a time, and as missionaries, go to the streets, to the halls of government, to the churches and temples, and from house to house, to provide education, empower the people, and multiply the patriotic spirit. The wives responded. Each entrusted their young children and sometimes ill elderly parents to their husband's care and set out. A mother is the center of the family, and when she is not home, even for a day or two, the family suffers. Our wives and mothers went out, not for a day or two, but for 3 years. For every father who had to cradle and feed a child begging for his mother's milk, a mother on mission was squeezing milk out of her swollen breast and weeping. It was almost like Jesus' 3 years of public ministry, or my husband's 3 years in a North Korean labor camp. Wives who were pregnant when going out would return to give birth, and after 100 days, go back up to their mission field. After the 3 years, when the mothers returned, their youngest children didn't recognize them and even resisted them. Such is the incredible sacrifice of heart offered to our Heavenly Parent for the restoration of the world. When a woman has a baby, she experiences the pain of childbirth. Despite this, the midwife's job is to encourage her to push more. Like midwives giving birth to a new world, my husband and I pushed our unification family members. Historically, every time danger appeared, the Korean people, farmers, and loyal patriots defended their homes and their nation. With that spirit, our members rose and defended their homes and nations against communism. My husband counseled these courageous women. The people do not understand unification now, but if the 30 million people of Korea join together with the Unification Church, this nation and these people will not perish. The blessed wives buried their pain in their hearts, for they knew that their mission was for the sake of the nation. In hindsight, their work has borne great fruit and can only be considered the most praiseworthy act of patriotism. Thus far, it has been hidden from the view in our nation's history, but one day will be revealed. As the Unification Church spread to other countries, blessed wives around the world followed the example of the early Korean wives and their families. Thus, this brilliant chapter has been written in the history not just of Korea, but of all nations. All blessed wives stand on this foundation and are carrying on this tradition. It is a story of women sacrificing to preserve the nation and world. One of its fruits appeared 20 years later in our meeting with Mikhail Gorbachev, then president of the Soviet Union. This opened the door to teach the young people of the Soviet Union our God-centered worldview, the democratic spirit and ethical values, which contributed to the reconciliation of East and West and the downfall of communism. Another fruit was our trip to North Korea in 1991, when we met North Korean leader Kim Il-sung. Our harrowing but thoroughly triumphant visit opened the way for the dialogue between North and South Korea and prepared a foothold for our work there.
Continue.
Okay. My last moment on earth is approaching. The foundation for our breakthroughs in the Kremlin and North Korea also include the selfless work of Korean European members. One day in the early 1980s, I received a one-page letter from one of them. It concluded the heartbreaking words, "My last moment on earth is approaching. This is the last greeting I give to you here on earth. I will meet you in the spirit world. Please live a long and healthy life." This young man was behind the Iron Curtain in a communist prison, and this was his final letter written just before his execution. The instant I read it, my body stiffened as if my blood had turned cold and blue. My tears froze. I couldn't say anything. I felt like the fabled woman Mang Buk-suk, who died and turned to stone. I just stood there. My husband and I had to quietly, secretly hold such beloved people in our hearts. As the true parents of all people, our path with theirs was perilous and desperate. Unable to talk with anyone about such things, we could only weep inside and proceed with broken hearts. For many years in Korea, whenever our members gathered, sooner or later a lively discussion would take place about our movement strategy. We must turn our eyes to the wider world now, someone would say. Another would retort, "Isn't it too early? We don't even have a church building here in Korea." And a third would join the fray. "Okay, so we build an attractive building, but if it's only for Korea, will God like it?" Of course, my husband and I were well aware of the issues and knew that both evangelizing internationally and building a strong church in Korea were important. But we steadfastly chose the world over Korea, and as a result, the approach of our first churches remained shabby. Up until the 1980s, we could not present to the nation even a single decent church building. Our members might have wished to have a place where they could gather with guests and comfortably hold services, but it was not to be. Small A-frame structures with green roofs were all we had. In the public square as well, people ridiculed us, asking why we and our members kept talking about restoring the world when we didn't even have a decent church building. From a humanistic perspective, they had a point, but they did not know the principle. Our church was created for a higher purpose, and we put working for humanity and the world first. The salvation of the world took precedence over our task in Korea.
Thank
And-
you. Thank you. Here we
Okay.
are meeting here today. And let's go to a breakout room again. And for the share your takeaways. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good sharing. Okay, I'd like to ask two people. And first person is Asako-san, second person is Sister Rhonda. And then after that, I'd like to ask Sister Loretta for a song, that's some offering, that's okay. Okay, first person, then Asako-san.
Hi, good morning, brothers and sisters. I came back Alabama yesterday. Thank you for everything. Yes, from reading Korean Blessed Wife, the 30 years witness course, we never forgot. Yeah, many story. I remember one mother couldn't find anyone to take care of own kids. They have to, she have to put their own children to the orphanage. Yeah, many story like this. Yeah, because of Korean Faith Foundation, we really appreciate it. Yeah, also under the ground, communist country people working. I think still people, the brothers and sisters working for the communist country. Yeah. We thank you, not thank you enough for them to sacrifice, but only they can feel every day. I can tell God's and true parent be with them. Yeah, we really grateful to work in America. Yeah, we have to do more continuous strong and yeah. Reach out. Yeah, we can do. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay, next Sister Rhonda.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I was sharing my own experience, and in the early 1980s, then Father made IOWC team of Blessed Wives, and he sent us out to teams going around the country. And at that time, a lot of us had young children, even infants. And so Father made a child care center in Tarrytown. I know there was a center in Barrytown and in Washington, I believe, different places around the country, they made a child care center, but the biggest one I think was in Tarrytown near Belvedere. And at that time, my first daughter was 5 years old, and then my first son was 4 years old, and my second daughter was 2 years old. And so my husband couldn't take care of them because he was working at the newspaper, a printing company. And so we put the children there, and I had to tell my family somehow, because they would know that I wasn't home. They would know that I was, if I call home, well, where are you, So I had to tell them, and I couldn't tell them on the phone because it was too emotional, I couldn't. And so I wrote them a letter and tried to explain, how it was so, that we were doing it for God's sake. And so that, and so God would look after these little ones. And so they never accused me, even though I'm sure they, like Mama Bofenda said, that she knows that they thought I was crazy. But they never accused me to my face. And so our children were there for a year, almost a year. And then the town of Tarrytown shut the Jacob House down because they said it wasn't unlicensed. It was unlicensed daycare. So then we had to leave our teams. But anyway, it was like a reflection of what the Korean wives went through. It was like a small reflection because our suffering was nothing like what they went through, but at least we could taste that what they tasted in those early days. And that's the hardest thing of all, to leave your child behind. And I told Mama Bofenda, when we gathered as a team, our team leader was Nora Spurgeon, Mrs. Spurgeon. I'm sure many of you know her, and she's like a psychological counselor. So that was her. That she's a counselor and a psychologist. And so the first day, she gathered us all together, and we cried and we cried and we cried together, and she guided us to get our pain out, so that we could function on a team. And she was a wonderful leader, and we could do that and share with one another and support one another. And that's the only way we could get through it, is because we were all together in unity. So that was a very interesting time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that, such a deep part of it. If you may, I ask. I heard a story from this Mrs. Park. Once there was regional director here, pastor here, and the daughter shared with me that when she was young, little, and with the other two other siblings, and mother had to go for pioneering for 3 years, and she did not know why her mother had to go, and then missing all the siblings missing their mother, and then sometimes she said that she cried why mother had to go away, and but the testimony was father's testimony to father said that later on during that time the North Korea were trying to invade the south, and usually Han River the freezes, river frozen, and so the father was sincerely praying that the river does not freeze, and so there was a special condition needed, and the father was not able to talk about it and much. And so that was but because of this wives' sacrifices, that particular year, the Han River didn't freeze. So the North Korea could not invade, because once the Han River flows, then a tank can go through it. That was the North Korea's plan. So that being said, mother is encouraging the witnessing, but we do not know what's behind of it, what kind of God's providence behind at this time. So that's what I thought about it. So let's really pray so the mother's deep heart of why mother is encouraging us to witness. Okay, thank you very much. So now I'd like to ask Sister Loretta to do some offering before we go to a prayer.
Yes. Song of the Garden. The Lord into his garden comes, the spices yield a rich perfume. The lilies grow and thrive, the lilies grow and thrive. Refreshing showers of grace divine from the Father flow to every vine. and make the dead revive, and make the dead revive. Oh, that this dry and barren ground in springs of water may abound. Fruitful soil become, a fruitful soil become. The desert blossoms as a rose when the Savior conquers all his foes and makes his people one, and makes his people one. Come, brethren, that love the Lord, and taste the sweetness of his word. In Father's ways go on, in Father's ways go on. Our troubles and our trials only make us richer there. When we arrive at home, we arrive at home.
Thank you, Reza. Thank you very much for the song. Okay, let's have a 7 minutes listen prayer. Please everyone unmute and have a listen prayer.
Thank you, Heavenly
Father. Thank you, families. Thank you
for this reading today.
So much for
Thank
your
you
We
for
remind
all
ourselves
you today that you given to us.
the suffering of our true parents during the first
You
Monday,
are
the of our
desires and what you have.
family,
Heavenly
prayer
Father,
in here in America. Please
so that we
ready
give our hearts to you
for your providence and the
because we
sacrifice
want to
in
be with you forever. We do not want to be burdened in responsibility. For that's the way that things start. We do not want to go there.
put faith and trust in
We
us.
want to actually follow you in the way that only you know.
many kind of
Before we can look backwards,
Be obedient to the word.
things that we should be doing
We
forward.
now have a mandate
And
to
we would not know
inherit
the
the
difference.
blessings of true
We
mother's
need your
heart.
guidance.
Understand
And we
her
want to follow the
desire
guidance
like
that we get.
tears.
And we want to be as loyal as we may need
Heavenly
at
Parent,
times.
with
And we do not want to fail
sisters,
you.
with brothers
And
and
as the
sisters,
mothers that
with
have left
their
their children,
children and the
and
other
fathers who have left their children all around the world so that they can go out and work for humankind.
with the idea
Jesus, who
of
left his
Jesus
father, mother, sister, and brothers.
to save the world and
So we
save
can
people
understand
past
how
and
this
present, save families, save
sacrificial way
save
works.
nations, and save
And we're
worlds.
still going to
Pray
where everybody can have their families and everybody can have the world that
as they unite their
we
efforts,
see
foundation,
from the standpoint of
Holy Spirit,
obedience to you.
we now have the substantial Holy
So
Spirit
help us at
who
this
is
time
really the redemption of our
for us to
bodies.
be
We ask you, Heavenly
what
Parent,
you want us to be.
that our DNA can change. Our
Be the
bodies
guidance
will no longer be
and help us to be what we
an obstacle
are
to
supposed to be according to your will.
the four great temptations of
For we
God.
can't always understand the will, and because of so many strange, unknown ways that you operate.
Have sung a devotion of utmost
But it's not
service.
it's not unknown to
Have
you, but it's unknown
the inner gift
to
of
some of
boiling
us.
point.
And even we have to ask for understanding
to have
in many things because you make a judgment without the
You
reasoning
don't have
of
to
heaven.
bring the majority,
And that
help us to
contradicts the other side,
pray for
which show evidence of willingness to go forward, faithfulness on the
bring
best we can.
accountability determination.
But we know that you are a perfectionist
We know that our true lives
more so than anyone ever lived out the
places
title.
where you dwell in the creation
So
when they
guide
challenge come
us
for
nations
the
of the world.
wickedness
because the
of
most important thing is
God's
your
Holy
word.
Spirit
Unity and harmony and
in
The
unity
most
in
important
North
thing.
Korea and
If it
your
would have been done in the
presence.
beginning, so
had a role
that's
in the
what
world
it should be in the
to
end.
rule. And when we go the wrong
So
way, we
we're
can
going to be
correct
here
it.
with an
Whenever you
absolute
challenge
heart
me,
Help
I
us
offer
to
that
walk the path
challenge
that you give us and not be mistaken as Adam and Eve may have
the
considered
nations of the world
themselves
to
and
represent
said
God
about
and
themselves
pursue
after the mistake was
peace,
made.
represent the
Oh, it
United
want to be
Nations.
very true to your way.
The women's UN
Thank you for the
will
things that you
issue
give us
a
to show
declaration
us
went
Heavenly
through
Parent
many
that the
difficulties.
things
to
don't
bring
work.
about salvation.
Challenge we
We will
have
not
in our
So
life.
we
represent
can
the
be
world
able to
by
touch others
but
and
being
teach others.
giving all
So please raise us above where we
to
are.
to
Know their heart.
those who are resting
Help
to
us,
wake
Lord.
them from sleep,
I pray
and
for them
those
that
who
you give
are
them
asleep. Let
to
them
give
be
them
revived, Heavenly Parent. Those who put their faith and trust in true parents' ones can raise the flag of to march forward to bring the
the right
victory.
direction.
Reinforcements will come from the rear, Heavenly
Understand
Parent.
who we are.
We surrounded it and be defeated,
Help
Heavenly
us
Parent.
to be
At this
loyal
time, maybe there can be an
and diligent.
ideological conflict, Heavenly Father. Doesn't become
Because
something
our strength
physical.
can be there to
Doesn't
go in
become
one direction
bloodshed,
and we be gone
carnage,
in
Heavenly
another
Parent.
direction
We
simply
pray,
because we
God, that
don't
we
know.
can love bomb,
We
Heavenly
want to
Parent,
go the right way
and
and
go the
be
way of
concerned about
sacrifice
it
and generosity, Heavenly
as
Parent.
we are walking with you,
Not be
and we're
selfish,
keeping in
not
obedience, but
covetous, Heavenly
understanding of
Parent.
what we are
These are the things that the world
called to
needs
do
now, Heavenly Father.
and to
Love,
stay on track and not let
which
any
brings true life,
preach that you want
our brothers and sisters who
and what
remain
we
in
should be
darkness
doing.
and despair,
There's
who
no
live
need
into the marvelous
for
light.
nothing to be
In this
told,
age of light, age of
but
love, these
situation
women of
in which
nurturing,
we are
Heavenly
living.
Parent, pray that you can raise
Stay ahead
leaders
and not
that
on the ship,
find John and
to walk along
Joan the Baptist, Heavenly Parent,
to
who can begin
truth,
to bring prophets and prophetesses that
help
people will listen to as
We
they
will
shine the
understand.
light
please guide us.
on the only begotten
Today,
daughter,
we
Lady
will
Gaga's son.
understand and we will speak the
Pray
right
that the
direction.
parables and symbols of the Bible, which have been misunderstood and even left to dust, will be illuminated, Heavenly Parent, and walk
Not to bring
your way, Heavenly Parent,
to
will lead us to salvation.
regret.
Pray we can leave darkness and despair
And we
and
want to get it right.
come
So God,
to the light
we don't
of
want to
love and
expect that
lineage. We're grateful
everything right.
sisters
We have to
Diana
get
that
it.
we have for
Every
unity,
day, Father, we
first
want
and
to
second
come to you
generation
to
in our
handle our
unity.
assignment.
We pray for
Contrary point.
become a community of
To
servants, Heavenly
you
Father,
can intervene to us.
unity and
So
showing our
that
love
in the front of
and
them,
moving people
they don't want
to join us
so against
in
it,
this
Father God.
movement of yes,
Help
joy,
us
manifest
that our
the love
faith
of
live
Jesus,
well
love of true
with each
parents,
other. Now, Father,
is what the
that
world
we need to
needs.
protect our heart.
And be our source of fellowship and our
We
spiritual
want to
truths and study. Husbands and wives will heal each other.
heaven.
Children and siblings will
As you know,
love
all our
for
motivation.
loyalty and filial piety to Christ and to
Lift
others,
ourselves
others and to schools.
everywhere we go.
Your will will be done in this as it is in heaven. Add
Divine word.
mindfulness and gratitude
Speak out.
salvation
To the you were Heavenly Parent, listen to
things
Father,
wonderful.
Heavenly, you are love, you are wisdom. Father, humanity, Father, to cry
Order steps
Father,
as ask and
Heavenly
seek
God,
and knock, Heavenly Parent. Let's deny
Heavenly
ourselves and assert ourselves
Father,
and make God
Father,
unity.
for our God, we are our parents.
Bring us unity.
Father, break the block.
You see how the enemy around every
Stir,
enemy church to
the children in this
really
community,
peace our territory.
love them, correct them, give them your light. One day they will discover and then they understand. And then each person can be able to overcome and then make a new foundation. Even something in the body.
Okay, everyone. Thank you. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Yeah. Thank you for your prayers. Okay, there's announcement. Sister Coco, do you have any announcement?
No, yeah, no announcement.
Okay. All right. So, as you know, we have an event coming up. That's the ladies' tea, and so if you want to, invite anybody, and with a prayer to really think about a mother's desire to reach out to many people. If you need a flyer to text, I can send you the flyer, okay? And if you want me to put your picture on it, I can put your picture and your name and phone number too, if you want to do that, okay? Okay, yeah, let's see. Let's pray for the, I think, Sister Diane's siblings are visiting, so it's good, the family unity, and okay, let's see. Okay, all right. Anyway, that's it for now. So everybody have a good day. Okay.
Have a beautiful, blessed day, everyone.
Happy birthday, Mr. Matsunaga.
Have a nice day. はい、すみれさん。
Thank you for that. Is that bathroom?
はい、かずこさん。